Welcome to On the Vineyard, a 10-minute weekly wrap-up of news from the Vineyard Gazette Media Group on Martha's Vineyard. I'm Monica Brady-Meyerov. We're so glad you're here. On the Vineyard is sponsored by Crane Appliance. The holidays have come to the Vineyard. It's Christmas and Edgartown weekend. Before we get to the holiday cheer, though, state officials visited the island this week and heard a lot about ticks.
It's not something that you hear about often, the state coming to your area for a public health crisis.
More on that story in a moment. Last Sunday, the voices of the Island Community Chorus rang throughout the Old Whaling Church with holiday songs such as A Merry Christmas Wish and Ooshe Shalom. And a new event on the holiday calendar, Cook the Vineyard's Great Vineyard Cookie Sale was a huge success. 30 island bakers donated dozens of cookies for a community bake sale at the Grange Hall, all to support NV Community Services.
These are peppermint hot cocoa brownie. Look at this. These are nice.
More than 100 people came to the Great Vineyard Cookie Sale to donate and stock up on cookies. I loved how island businesses turned out to support the event. There was a hot cocoa bar from Stop & Shop and a gingerbread house decorating station from Associate Roofing. The cookie sale was tied into the MV Bake-Off, led by cookbook author Julia Blanter.
It's so sweet in more ways than one. The community is out here. The energy is just delightful. The bakers are so creative. And we have lots of alpha-gal friendly, vegan, gluten-free treats. So the community really came together for this.
Yeah, and they're beautiful. People did an amazing job packaging their cookies and also some of them decorating them to something I could never do.
No, I know. We really have some star bakers on the island. So very much fitting with the bake-off and the cookie sale theme. Very impressive.
That's the sound of the historic press in the Vineyard Gazette offices in Edgartown printing the paper. That means it's time to go upstairs to the newsroom. And since Bill Evell is out this week, I'll review the news with managing editor Ethan Genter. Hello, Ethan.
Hi, Monica.
So, Ethan, state officials came to the Vineyard this week to talk about ticks. Who did they meet with, and what did they hear about the problem?
Yes, on Wednesday, representatives from the governor's office, Julian Sear, our state senator, Thomas Moakley, our state representative, met with island public health officials. They also met with epidemiologists, our tick biologist here, to talk about the crisis that we're going through with the tick-borne illnesses and the rise of ticks here on the island.
And it's gotten pretty bad, as we all know, and we've been reporting on. What are some of the solutions they discussed?
One of the main things that came up was deer hunting. Deer are one of the main food sources for ticks here on the island. We have a much higher density than anywhere else in the state. And the main thing that was done this week was the hunting season was expanded. There's an extra season in September, as well as they're extending it out through February. They had already extended it to January earlier this year. So the hope is that they can reduce the amount of food there are for these ticks out there.
That's a lot of state officials coming to really talk about this. What do you think it says about the level of the problem here on the island that we're facing now that we're getting so much state interest in it?
It's not something that you hear about often, the state coming to your area for a public health crisis. So it's definitely something that has risen to the radar. Alpha-gal was a big concern at this meeting. Just this year, there's been a little over 700 cases in just the first 11 months of 2025. And that's almost the same amount we have combined for the last 5 years prior. So it's something that's become really on the radar of the state. We have disease rates that range, between 11 to 100 times more than what the rest of the state has. So I think that the state has identified this as an issue and that they're thinking about changing the hunting schedule. That's not something they take very lightly, so it shows that there is a commitment to take this on at the state level.
Yeah, that's encouraging to hear. Turning now to a story in Oak Bluffs, Ethan, the Ocean View Hotel has passed a significant hurdle to getting built. Tell us about it.
Yeah, so the Ocean View Hotel is a project being done by Charles Ajar. It's a 26-room, 3-story Victorian-style building that's going to be at the old site of the Ocean View restaurant. So that's over in the Chapman Ave area of East Chop. For people, it was a favorite restaurant for the neighborhood and locals. They got approval at the MVC last week. It was a very narrow vote, an 8-7 vote. It's been a very contentious issue. The neighborhood is not super happy about it. A lot of concerns about the size and the location.
Yeah, there's been a lot of protests in the neighborhood against this. So what happens next? Are there more reviews to this project?
Yeah, so now that it's gone through the MVC, it's going to head back to the town. It'll probably have to go through multiple different boards at the town, at least the Copeland district where it sits, and likely either the planning board or zoning board. That hasn't really started yet, that process, so we'll see exactly who they have to go to, but there's definitely more reviews, and these boards have different purviews and jurisdictions on different things than the MVC. So we'll see if there's any changes as it goes along here, but the MVC is really usually the biggest hurdle for projects and the one that they have the hardest time getting through.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you, Monica.
You can read more on these stories and all the news for free at vineyardgazette.com. Well, it's finally here. Christmas in Edgartown is this weekend. It all kicks off with Santa arriving on the Chappie Ferry on Friday around 5 o'clock. He joins the festivities on Memorial Wharf to watch the traditional lighting of the Edgartown Lighthouse. There'll be cookies for the kids. And if you want something stronger, Banshee Winery is sponsoring a champagne stroll at participating downtown shops. Saturday, it's all about the holiday parade. Look for me in my Christmas sweater and my husband driving the vintage 1955 red Chevy Gazette truck. We'll be tossing out folded, custom-made holiday newspaper hats. And you can take a photo with the truck if you visit us on North Summer Street after the parade. Saturday, the Edgartown Village Market is the place to be. There'll be more than 30 local vendors in this European-style Christmas market. There are so many crafts and artisan fairs this weekend, it's too hard to list them all. Pick up the 44th Annual Christmas in Edgartown Guide around town for a listing of all the events. And don't forget to see Donaroma's Holiday Light Show, because it will be the last show they'll be putting on, because they're moving down the road and organizers say it's a ton of work. The tradition started in 2004. I just learned of a now lost tradition of caroling from house to house in the island's Portuguese neighborhoods on Christmas Eve. Here is Alice Coutinho, who died at the age of 92 in 2007, remembering those days.
At Christmas time, they'd go around singing at the doors and playing these guitars and violins and singing and knocking at the doors at night, Christmas Eve, and waking people up, and they'd stamp on the porch and play, singing a song in Portuguese, all Portuguese, and say, owner of the house, please open the door to us. And they'd come in, and inside they'd have an altar to Jesus, and wheat growing, and all these decorations, and they'd sing all night. Well, not all night in the same house, but they'd go door to door. People looked forward to seeing them every Christmas, and they'd be upset if they missed them. And one time they came and woke us up. We didn't go that night. We were getting on in years by that time again. And the neighbor told us the next day, I woke up and I heard violins and I thought I was in heaven.
The island still has many Portuguese speakers, but they're mostly from Brazil, not from Portugal or the Azores as they were decades ago. And I don't believe there's a tradition of caroling among Brazilians. Thank you to Lindsay Lee and the Martha's Vineyard Museum for the audio. Our theme music is from island composer and musician Michael Hayden. We launched our Instagram channel. Please follow us at On the Vineyard Podcast. We'll be posting photos and videos of all the great events I tell you about in the podcast. Thanks to our sponsor, Crane Appliance. Their appliance experts listen to your needs and help you choose the right appliances for your home. Crane Appliance. They call the Cape and Islands home. I'm Monica Brady-Meyerov. Thanks for joining us on The Vineyard. Talk to you next week.